Hello, my monstrosities. Hello once again. Today I bring to you my Adepticon video. I say my because this won't be the best analysis around. A couple of reasons why. One, I'm not the best analyst around. I wouldn't even call myself an analyst. Uh, Second, I didn't. I wasn't at Adepticon. Third, I didn't have a chance to watch much of it. These past couple of days have been super busy. And on to that point, how's everybody doing? Is everybody like all right? I hope everybody's okay. And if things aren't okay now, I hope they're on the way to becoming okay. I noticed that people I expected to have covered some subjects would already have their videos and things out and streams and whatnot. And it seems like everybody's like absurdly busy about this time this year. I don't really know why. Don't know if that's a good or a bad thing or what writing on the wall is there, but it's been a doozy for I guess a lot of us right now. So I just hope everybody's doing okay. So with that, let's start being not okay talking about Warhammer, right? Am I right? Jokes aside, I think it's fine. I have feelings on the double-sided thing because do I love that Gladius Task Force Ultramarines took the dub? Don't love it. Not my faction. Um, but at the same time, I don't mind it. It is kind of odd that GW has been doing these quadruple nerfs to detachments and armies, and I really hate when they do that. But to see that they didn't do it for Ultramarines and then it proceeds to win Adepticon is interesting. Like, why is Gilliman and Calgar just like able to do the shenanigans they can do? Yeah, it costs 555 points, but that's 555 points worth. For for example, right? 555 points for me would be Tyrannofex, a Hive Tyrant with a 30, yeah, 130 points, and not an Exocrine anymore. Um, yeah, like we're talking about 3 units on that front. Now, mind you, my Swarm Lord is 105 points cheaper than Gilliman, but he's no Gilliman, right? So it's interesting. It's interesting. It's interesting. I like the Ballistic Dreadnoughts. I'll say that much. That was really cool. 140 points per. I know that this isn't the newest thing, but this seems to be from a non power armor player perspective. That seems to be one of the units that I often see Space Marine players a bit more divisive on, where it's like, nah, I really didn't want to take the ballistas. It never does anything for me. Or yeah, I took a ballistas and it was a great inclusion to my list. I know there's definitely much more. The we'll just use divisive again. Much more argumentative units. Sorry, I got kind of morning brain right now. There's much more interesting units that you can have these debates over, I guess, for the inclusion. Gladiator Reaper was also cool, and Double Vindicators. So it's like, I know that there's things, and if I'm honest, I don't think I would have placed my bets on this. Not necessarily to say that the person, the list, or anything like that is bad. I just think I wouldn't have assumed Ultramarines would be something that gets through more DACA and devoted if you need, especially the way the Imperium players have been crying about more DACA. I would have never guessed that it would be a viable answer into that being so. so much of the field. Even if it wasn't good, when you have, or I said, even if it wasn't as good as it is, uh, when almost everybody's taking the shit, you're bound to, if your matchup isn't a winning matchup into it, you're probably going to struggle. And if you struggle enough times in a what 9 rounds, it'll get you right. That's typically how I do. But then you do have player skill and so on and so forth. So uh, I don't mind. I don't mind the detachment army that won or whatever. It's not my faction, so I guess I won't be doing a backflip about it. But I wish that GW and the community could figure out how to nerf things accordingly, right? I'm not saying that the community has to be the one to come up with balance patches and things like that, balance updates, but I do think it's a little bit absurd that how how much whining there are about some winning things, like to such an extent, and then when it gets quadruple tapped because GW is like, well, we have to fix it, and then everybody's like, well, we didn't mean to do that, and like you're right, they didn't mean to do that. Like GW, that's completely on GW to figure out how to nerf something without killing it. But that's even more to why I get annoyed by like the teams not talking to each other, where it's clear that you didn't factor what all was going on. You had this team over here doing points, this team over here doing balance stuff on like the units themselves, and this unit over here doing this uh, group over here doing detachment changes, everything like that. And then everybody's like, all right, I think we successfully nerfed Bridgehead Strike or whatever else. We've Bringers of Flame. We've done it. We have defeated it. It's like, yeah, but you also killed the faction because that person over there put the Triumph to fucking 300 points. I know it's not 300 points or wasn't, but hyperbole. This one priced the Triumph to hell and back, and then the rest of the units got priced to hell and back. The detachment is asking you for 4 command points to use 2 strats. That's kind of fucked. And the rules themselves just aren't doing it. So it's like, now why do we do all of these things and not figure out how to just figure out the core issue? That's another reason why I hate the um banning detachment argument, because if nobody gets play into it or plays it, how do you know what was actually the issue? Like, for instance, is it Mordaka or is it the Tank Busters? Because when the Tank Busters released and with Tactical Brigade, we saw the same thing where Orcs won like 6 events that weekend across 3 or 4 different detachments. So we saw it then. Mordaka gets released, and it has a good weekend because everybody and their mother are fucking playing it, and Tank Busters are, if you ask me, still a little bit too cheap. I can't really understand why that's here. So it's like, is it Mordaka or is it the data sheet? But then after 2 rounds of orcs being nerfed, after they got turbo nerfed the last time they did something fun with Mega Knobs and Bully Boys, um, and Green Tide shenanigans, right? The only thing I can see GW doing next is, alright, we've killed Mordaka, Tactical Brigade, the Tank Busters, and now you can't play the rest of the faction for the next couple of months. It's just like, why? Why do that? So you have to let things play out, and when things should play out, people figure out how to play against it. Because as you can see, out of the top 8, only one was Orcs. Not to discredit anybody that did amazing, but just saying points wise and how it all fell, that's how we go. So Gladius, I'm glad that you didn't get the triple tap. I think GW might have actually went bankrupt if they did that. But hey, that's where we are. Devoted if you need. I want to point out, Folger had fantastic scoring. I wasn't able to like keep up with the games, but I did check into the scores when I could. This was insane. This was insane. A 5 straight, not dropping a point. Needless to say, I was rooting for him when I saw what a tear of a run. Now, also, I can't believe that in the teams he's playing or was playing, uh, Necrons. I was like, why would you stress your brain like that trying to remember two factions over the course of a weekend? But hey, if you're him, you're him, I guess. So that was pretty neat. Devoted. Let's see what the interesting here are. Now, I remember when the Eldari Codex came out that first weekend, and all the elf specialists were like, "There's no reason you take the Incarn." And I looked at it and I said, "There's no reason you take the Incarn." But apparently, everybody's learning that you still take the Incarn. It's pretty nice. Fire dragons, like people expected. Howling banshees, cool. Striking scorpions, warp spiders. A single unit of incubi. Actually, now that I think about it, I haven't noticed many Yanari inclusions in some of these lists. Like, I know that the data sheets are worse than what they are in Drukari. So, maybe that's just how the cookie crumbles. Maybe you don't go for that route and you just leave it to be um, mainly Eldar, but just playing with rules and you have access to the Incarn and Yvraine. That's fine. And, I don't know. I think it's interesting that these two are still performing, as we can see very well. Uh, and I don't want this to translate to GW saying, hey, you see what happens when we don't triple tap a detachment? It still is really good. And it's just like, well, we still got to get better about how we're triple tapping or how we're tapping at all. Like, you didn't touch Gilliman, right? Now, why aren't all the Primarchs like 400 points, but 400 points of power for all of their factions? I don't know. Don't know. Um, is that the price point? And then you have to ask yourself, what's doing it again? Is it because it's too cheap? Is it because the rule is too good? Is it because the rule is compounded with other things is insane? Like giving two of your opponent's units plus one to wound and reroll hits into. Yeah, I think two things a turn will die, and oh wait, look, we're playing 40k, so it turns out you don't expose that many units every turn. Traditionally, I mean, there's some armies that are going to try to put it all in your face, but I would not use that method against it. And but hey, same time, I don't know. I don't know. Thankfully, I don't have like any reps into double oath Gilliman. That's not what my friends play, so I don't necessarily have to sit there and take that to the face 50 million times to figure out do I just put everything on the line and say fuck it, right? To that point, maybe that's what needs to be done. And really, I thought that Devoted of Need would have been able to crush it. If I'm being honest, if I had a bet on any of them, I would have thought that would be this one for this go around. Next up, third place GSC and uh, host of Ascension. Wow. Where do I even start? So it's Robin Roberts, Scruffy Nerf Herder. That's funny. Um, man, Herder. Where do I even? I have feelings about this too because I was talking about in my pre-Adepticon video, like I think GSC is still like fine. I think I still gave it to and hello, welcome to the video, Shen Ken. Welcome to the video. But yeah, um, thank you for subscribing. Um, it was interesting that we have GSC having playable detachments, and I'd say that I'm going to repeat this point, I guess. It's the fact that GSC has, I want to say brain drain, but brain collectiveness. It seems that whatever detachment does well at a point, all the GSC experts go to that detachment without anything happening to the previous detachment everybody was just on, and then that detachment does the winning, does the things. Everybody on Biosanctic, well, you look at that, Biosanctic's good. Everybody goes to, oh, sorry, let's go back. Outlander Claw. Oh, would you look at that? Outlander's Claw is good. All right, they only need one detachment. What if I play Biosanctic? Plays Biosanctic. It's good. Uh, Moves over to a host of Ascension. Oh, would you look at that? It's still good. So, like, I gotta admit, I don't know what we're talking about where Final Day is the best GSC detachment. We have not seen that play out whatsoever. And as somebody that plays Tyranids, the half of it being half Tyranids, I like it's probably the best way for us to play with the Vanguard Invader units. But I don't know what's up with that take. Host of Ascension, but hey, to that same point, if all of the GSC players find themselves on Final Day, and then Final Day just starts kicking butt, that'll be what happens, I guess. But yeah, Host of Ascension. I wish I could tell you in depth what all of these really do, but I can. Okay, actually, let me give myself a little bit more credit. I do know uh, the things, but it was also funny to see the Benefactors that got so dogged on. And hell, I've dogged on it too. I'm like, why the fuck is the character only 3 wounds? Where if you hazardous and failure hazardous says you just lost a 70-point model. Now I can't remember if this used to be 80. I want to say it was more expensive last time I looked at it, but it's nice to see that people are including the Benefacti. Jackal Alphas, Primuses, Acolyte Hybrids, Neophyte Hybrids, 2 Ridge Runners. Personally, I'm still waiting for more GSC players to tell me why you never just take always double Ridge Runners, because I've seen it in the singles, like broken up a couple of times. More often than not, really. But it's odd to me where I'm like, you could just be benefiting for a pretty 170 points for what you're getting out of this unit. I take that every day of the week. Atlan Jackals and Pure Strange. Wait, hold on, was there? Pure Strange, no. The four-armed. Why am I blanking on his name? I keep wanting to say Broodlord in my head right now because that's what it is for me. Patriarch. Goodness. Yeah, no Patriarch. Interesting. Interesting. Also, of note, there are no aberrants or abominant. Hey, if this is the wave for GSC right now, also isn't a million body spam at the same point, is it? Like, there's enough bodies, don't get me wrong, but it isn't just miles and miles of battle line for host. Not to say that I have a problem with that either, but, just saying it's interesting how even when all the brains go to a different attachment, it's still a different variation of what is being asked of traditionally. So, nice to see GSC. Then, this one was interesting, like super interesting, right? Chaos Demons. We are talking about Scintillating Legion, and it's not 6 Demon Princes. Justin, I hope those are the DPs we're referring to. Um, it. I don't think many people would have guessed this because on the list of changes to demons, Scintillating Legion and the Tzeentch units weren't very high on there. And well, maybe it doesn't matter, right? Maybe it doesn't matter. I I see it. I see the vision, but I also want to thank Justin here for making me feel a whole lot less stupid because there's Triple Soul Grinder. And not to say anybody called me stupid, but I felt so silly talking about this. I think I have it on like one thumbnail, but like I talked about it for 3 videos across. What I noticed is that anybody that was bringing chaos, demon, ally, something other, whatever, soul grinders, making the list, made winnings. Now, Justin could come ruin this theory for me and come into the comment section and be like, hey, in fact, my next thing is I'm dropping all of them. That was a terrible decision by me. But from what I've seen and what I was talking about, it felt so goofy. I promise. I was like, man, who am I? Like, I can't convince people that they should be taking soul grinders. It just seems like everybody that is taking soul grinders is doing good though. Here we go. And if I'm being even more honest, Tzeentch soul grinders. Yeah, yeah. Apparently, soul grinders are good. 180 points, deep strike. kittable weapons. Look, I think I said this in the Shadow Legion one. I'm worried about advanced in charge, deep strike soul grinders that have um advanced shooting charge, sorry, that have a flamer to do that. And then I said in the it wasn't Death Guard. Oh, what video was that? Was it Death Guard? Anyway, soul grinders with indirect fire. On top of the indirect fire that Death Guard have access to. That seems annoying as hell. And then let's see, we talked Corn, okay, Slanesh. That was annoying in Legion of Excess when technically they weren't monsters, and before they changed the stratagem, it was like, hey, just not on monsters. You can do this over here, so that was kind of correct. And now we have Zinch Soul Grinders. Um, what I'm hearing is you should be taking Soul Grinders, and that's what I'm just hearing. Right? Take your Soul Grinders, and you're gonna like it. This isn't a threat, but it might that might be the way to do it. I I'm perplexed, a little bit perplexed, to be honest. The thing is though, and like, there's several layers to this. Of course, there's several layers to it. We're talking about scenes, right? But you know, you don't have to worry about trying to immediately pull out a soul grinder from combat or a lord of chains and a demon prince of chaos that has some of these things. You might want to do it on this one because it has infernal puppeteer, which is um the fire prism. It's the fire prism uh enhancement for lords of chains. So that's interesting. This is lovely, and I just want to I then -1 to hit in Shadow Legion. I know this is Scintillating Legion, but I just can't stop thinking. If you're telling me we know we've woken up and seen that. Well, haven't seen it too much. I'm still waiting for more people to put Plague Legion on the table. But the one that is arguably the weakest, I guess the Blood Legion is probably still not hot. But the second weakest, before the nerfs, Scintillating Legion, putting on a performance like this at Adepticon, and mind you, there's still player skill. So Justin, you killed it. Pretty good work on this one. I thoroughly impressed. Internet Stranger is impressed with that. If you can't take anything else away from this, here's a clip of somebody you don't know, probably don't care about saying that was pretty awesome. So there we go. Um, yeah, that's insane. Then World Eaters. I've been hearing tales that World Eaters are dead, and Angron Lord Invocatus, double flying wing demon prince, Berserker Warband, right? Yeah, Berserker Warband World Eaters putting on a show with only one tiny squad of Exalted 8 bound is breaking my brain. Ah, yeah. What do I, don't screen me or my son's ever again. That's great. That's great. Oh, that's great. Um, Sorry, I know you're gonna be like, how you like it, sometimes I'm not looking at the list name. So if you're like, man, but you missed da 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 da, I probably did. I probably did not look at other list names. I don't do that often, but looking at list names, that is double, well, quadruple chaos spawn, 70 points. Uh, I wish I could tell you why it works. I really wish I could, but I am not versed enough in the winged demon princes for Berserker Warband tech. I got nothing on this one, you all. If you have insight on this one, please let me know what's going on here. Uh, I'm well versed in the Angron. I got that one. Yeah, yeah. But 2 units of 2 Chaos Spawn and double winged demon princes. That I got nothing on that one. But I'm glad it worked out for you. Moving on, we have Matthew Root. What we have here, this is Mordaka, yeah? Beach Boss. Is there any interesting tech in this one? Blaskets, Gretchen, Luda, Storm Boys. Storm Boys is funny. Mm, I guess this makes it funny. Why is it funny? Well, having Storm Boys and scouting Zodgrod with Gretchen and advanced shoot in charge for one command point. Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot, and I can see why that was the first place one. Now, mind you, there's only one unit of Storm Boys, right? But I don't know. If I'm being honest, I could see Storm Boys being a better inclusion in Mordaka than whatever was supposed to happen with Tactical Brigade. Like, I really could not fathom. Okay, fathom is a bit extreme. I just wasn't getting it. I wasn't seeing it. I know they have dedicated support, and I know they turned into battle line. But I'm just like, but why would I put them in this list? I have access to all of this shit. Why would I do that? In Mordaka, I at least have a reason to do that because I'm focused on shooting, so I still need pieces to do those things, right? How does this? How do I even begin to make sense of the madness that I'm talking about? I'll put it this way, or I'll try to put it this way to hopefully make sense to somebody that can understand what I mean. You have a detachment in Tactical Brigade that says, "Hey, you can take more of this unit, and here's one strat that this unit can use." Okay, but you don't need to do that because your entire army is getting so many benefits that instead of taking up space in this list that can be filled with better things, why would I do that, right? Then you come over to Mordaka where as well, yeah, once per turn, one of my units gets advanced shooting charge because I put it in the wall for one command point, right? And this one is giving me assault, so can do all of that. But I still need units to go faster to then overwhelm that aspect of it until I pop my wah to do it. I hope that makes sense. I don't know. Either way, I like the inclusion of Storm Boys. I can see them being more playable and more DACA than Tactical Brigade. I know it doesn't make sense to many people. That'll probably be one that people call me stupid for, but I don't know. Maybe it'll make sense eventually. We go over here to Logan, Chaos Demons, Demonic Incursion, Triple Bloodthirsters, and Scarbrand, and Bellicor, Beast of Nurgles, two Skull Cannons. Keep it simple, right? Just beat somebody's ass with Monster Mash, and it works. Apparently it works. Simple, really. I got nothing. I got nothing. Bloodthirsters look good. Scarbrand looks good. Changes were kind to them. I gotta admit, Demonic Incursion instead of Shadow Legion to give them advance and charge is breaking my brain again. But if it works, it works. So, uh, hey, it works. Let's go over here to Nick. Shadow Legion Chaos Demons, Bellicor Bloodthirst, Exalted Flamers. Flamers. Oh, this was the list that I saw that I. Where do I start? So Curse Cultist, Dark Commune, Cultist Mobs. But I just wasn't ever going to expect the hardest inclusion of Chaos Demon players playing Shadow Legion would be Zinch. I think we've seen this one other time, or did I look at this list twice late at night? Maybe not for Adepticon, but I was looking at Shadow Legion stuff to see what was going on. And a -1 to hit, yeah, that Zinch needs that. -1 to be hit, I should say. Zinch could use that, but instead of advance and charge corn units, instead of -1 to wound if the strength is greater than the toughness, Nurgle units. Uh, who cares about the Slanesh things at this point? But I guess if people are caring about the Zines, I should probably review the Slanesh viability. Hell, Legion of Excess went 4-1 last weekend somewhere. Don't remember where, if I was able to find it either. But uh, yeah, I guess the sky's the limit right now for Chaos Demons. And shout out to you all for having the only free codex this edition. Uh, for better or worse, we'll see if that's good or bad though. I think they've learned their lesson with Deathwatch that they should stop trying to get rid of things. So I think they won't get rid of it in 11th edition like they probably were planning to, if not this edition, because I don't know, that's a fucking stupid tactic, but that's a separate video. As far as right now, Shadow Legion, sorry, Demonic Incursion, Shadow Legion. Where do we leave off? Yeah, sorry, Shadow Legion. Uh, Chaos Demons with Zinch units and a lot of ACDC. I shouldn't say a lot, or sizable portion of ACDC, and then Cultist Mob spams, and then Havoc's Deep Striking in. I can see where the points came from. I can see you scoring points. I can see you scoring points. I wonder what the adjustment is for Nick. I wonder what the adjustment is. I wonder if this sounds like criticism, and I don't want it to be criticism because it's not. It's not me, right? Like I don't. You obviously went to Adepticon and got top 8, but I wonder if this is what I see happen with Crusher Stampede and kind of Tyranids in general, where your army does well enough scoring the points. After a certain point, do you put more things in your list that can do things besides score points? Um, I hope that comes out as the way I intend and not just being an ass. But I see some lists that have a lot of point scoring units, and it's like, yeah, you scored the points, but it's not like a Green Tide or a Unending Swarm type of situation where it's like, yeah, you scored points and you had a stat check along the way. It's list filled with 15 lictors, uh, 17 gargoyles, and fucking things like that. It's just like, yeah, we can score the points, but the killing secondaries gets tough. And like staying alive is fine and dandy. So I don't know. I wonder if there's anything that Nick would change, or if it came down to some game decisions. I'm just looking at the scores. It's like interesting, interesting. I wonder what the takeaway is here. Maybe Zinch, yay or nay. Maybe more Zinch. Maybe less Zinch. Maybe less Shadow Legion, Heretic Astartes. Maybe more. I wonder what the tweaks are going to be really out of that, and then that's more so me because you're the Shadow Legion out of the Chaos Demons here, wondering what the evolution of Shadow Legion will be. And I hope that's not a personal slight. It's more so just, hey, if you're going to be the top Shadow Legion list, I now have questions about what we found to be work and whatnot. Next, we go over to Gian with Orcs. Mordaka. Are we looking about stock standard for it? Yeah, yes, okay. Then we got Nemo the Fish. I remember hearing who this was, but if I'm wrong, I don't want to look stupid on the internet. So we're just going to say Nemo the Fish, stock standard, more or less, yeah. Did I miss something interesting? Stock standard. It's weird to say stock standard of a list that just detachment that just came out, but yeah, stock standard, Mordaka. Yeah. Uh, 10, 11. I want to see the Blood Angels list. Lag. Angelic Inheritor seems to be going by the wayside. Sanguinary Guard in force. Double Vindicators. Oh wait, sorry. Brain Liberator Assault Group. Yeah, Wait, hold on. Sanguinary Guard is better in Angelic Inheritors, right? Angelic Host, Angelic Inheritors. What is it? Huh. Interesting. Lag list. Heavy on Sanguinary Guard. Am I just misremembering what the lag list was? That's probably true, if I'm being honest. But that stands out to me. Um, Kevin Leonard. Get some more Chaos Demons here. Shadow Legion, Bellicor Bloodthirster, Nurglings. Yeah, Zines, Corn, Curse Cultist, Curse Cultist Mob, Dark Communes. Yeah, yeah, that's kind of what I initially expected for a Shadow Legion to be. Not Flesh Hounds, of course, or Flamers. Not of course, but of course, given what I just said, where I was just like, wait, hold on. But I think we all could expect ACDC from the first Shadow Legion list. So that's interesting to see that. We're going to do top 16. Kevin, sorry, Jim, right? Okay. Mordaka, are we start standard here? There's a weird boy. It's a weird boy with some boys. Okay, okay. Burner boys. Storm boys, tank busters. Interesting. Yeah, I guess nobody really talked about the inclusion of Burner boys really for 60 points. Uh, to give them assault. Huh. Maybe. Maybe. Alright, Jim. Joshua. Ultramarine Stormlance. Brutalis Dreadnought. Storm Speeders Hammer Strikes. And a Storm Raven Gunship. Holy. And Stormlance. Holy. Stormlance. Okay. I like this list. I was prepared to be upset because I saw Rabute Gilliman and Calgar. But full disclosure, I'm sorry for judging you off of the first two units. Off of the first two units in the list. This actually is pretty sick. Two Storm Speeder Hammer Strikes and a Storm Raven Gunship. With the Brutalis in the list. And Stormlance. Fuck yeah. I want to see this list again. Does anybody know if that was on stream? And Peanut Butter Whiskey. I immediately turned to my little brother when I was going over planning for the video. He's like, "You ever had peanut butter whiskey?" And his face was hilarious. I was like, "No." But yeah, peanut butter whiskey, Screwball. That's not a shining endorsement, but if you've had Screwball, if you like peanut butter whiskey in the comments, let me know. Chaos Knights, Tyler. We're on 15. Traitor's Lance, War Dog Stalker. Is it the things? It's the things. Rotigus. Rotigus. I believe this one was on stream. I saw it very briefly, or maybe there was another Chaos Knights that had a singular big one. Was it just a Great Unclean one, or was it Rotigus? Unfortunately, I didn't have a chance, but 6 Nurgling, 60 points, Beast of Nurgle, Plague Bearers, with Rotigus. Fair enough. Fair enough. And the last one before we wrap up for the day is Grey Knights. Might see what was going on here. Warpbane Task Force, Nemesis Dread Knights, Strike Squads, 2 Purifier Squads. I remember seeing a list of Warpbane Task Force. Was it Adepticon or was it somewhere else? That had the Razorbacks. And I forgot to check how that was doing. I'll have to see that later. But, hey, I know that I saw a couple of Grey Knights pop out, so that's how that all goes. So, Adepticon takeaways. Not as many orcs as people were expecting, I guess. Right? Hell, one more, and there's going to be another GSC. All right, bonus. I want to see what happened with GSC. All right, is this host? A bomb. What? Okay, wait. What is this? Inhuman. Ah, damn. I don't remember the. This has to be Biosanctic, right? No, it's final day. Raveners, Two Lictors, Gargoyles, Death Leaper. Hold on. Death Leaper, 2 squads of gargoyles, 2 lictors, squad of raveners. Honestly, wait, hold on. Thinking about it. Final day? If you do the thing that we've been doing over here in Tyranids, and you just start taking bricks of Von Rhine's Leapers and Raveners, you might be better off dropping like the other shit. Like, not from the Tyranids player. From a Tyranids player, not the. From a Tyranids player. Maybe if y'all do want to convince the world that Final Day is the way for GSE, Raveners and Von Ryan Leapers. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. But yeah, Final Day. Patriarch. Interesting. Interesting. Like to see it. So there's a bonus. But yeah, Adepticon. I like the variation. There was a lot of variation of lists that we see doing the thing, even though we saw Chaos Demons 4 times, three or four. It wasn't the same detachment. So I think as far as the meta stands, it's a success, and we like those types of things. We like when things are varied and several things have play. So yeah, if you like the video, like it. Got a comment from me, comment, and until next time, peace out, my monstrosities.